All right. I'm here with my boy, Ryan Berman, author, speaker, founder.
Well, hold on. Speaker on hiatus, like
Oh,
every
right. Famous Zoom speaker.
digital speaker,
Yeah.
digital keynoter.
That's right. Very well-rounded background, entrepreneur here. I'm very happy to sit down with you and talk to you about, what you're seeing, or sit down with you. Talk to you about what you're seeing out there. I'm in digital marketing, paid media, and you are much more on the branding side. And I just was hoping, there's a lot going on, and I wanted to find out your perspective on what you're seeing out there that is working for brands, or what brands should be focusing on and working on right now here over the next, even if it's tight time frame, 30 days, 90 days.
Yeah, and again, I think as a guy that talks about change, whether you drive change or change drives you, this is a clear time where change is driving so many of us. And I mean, your response rate to this is going to be critical on what strategies you put forward. And this is, of all times, I think it's a great time to be a utility brand. Like, what sort of service are you providing? And it's a very tricky, thin line between serving or coming off opportunistic, which I think is a very tricky place for many, many brands.
Yeah, it's interesting because some brands don't really have any control over their ability to do anything but focus on trying to survive right now. But those that are in a position where they could do nothing, there is opportunities for them to do things that are special or unique, or can benefit society and the business. Domino's is a really good example.
Mm-hmm.
You mentioned their story of rebranding and being courageous in your book, which if you don't have his book, go buy his book. But recently they announced that they're going to be hiring 10,000 employees to do delivery services for pizza delivery. That's a great way to focus on helping, not just hiring people in this hard time for money, but also growing your business as well. So maybe that's an example you'd like to touch on a little bit.
Well, yeah, I mean, look, I'm sure they're interested in helping people in this time of need, but the reality of it is we all need to eat. And so it makes sense with their business that they would hire 10,000 people. And in Return on Courage, we talked about the shift from Domino's being a value brand. If you remember, they were the 30 minutes or less pizza.
Mm-hmm.
Pizza showed up at minute 31. Great, you got free terrible pizza. Congrats. So they went back to the well and changed everything from the crust up. And what also came out of that 2-year sojourn wasn't just a new recipe, it was a new mantra, which was, oh yes we did. If it was an oh yes we did moment, Domino's would move forward with it, and if it wasn't, they didn't. Here's a scenario, I think, where it's not so much an oh yes we did moment, people need jobs, let's hire people. I think they recognize the demand for takeout and delivery, and they've been doing it at scale for a long time. And if you look at stock prices right now, which we just spoke about, I mean, again, this is going back a decade ago. When they started this rebrand, their stock price was at $2.84, and the Return on Courage now, it's over $300.
Mm-hmm.
Now, this is cheese sauce and dough, people. So if they can do it, right, many of us can. The real question is, like, what is your role as a brand in society moving forward? And again, if you haven't figured that out, then maybe this is a time to spend the time to get clear on what your role should be. We were joking earlier before we were recording that most companies, time was really the number one competitor. You were fighting time. And so what was happening is you were executing, and then you were iterating off of what was working. Maybe there wasn't the right message in the first place. Maybe we're moving so fast that this gives us a little bit of time to hone in on what are those right messages. Let's get clear on the message we should be putting out in the marketplace, and then bring it back out to the market.
Yeah, I'm with that. It's kind of an interesting time for everybody, but being able to reflect on what you can do better, getting clear, working on the business and not in it, sometimes can be really helpful. So this could be a chance for everybody out there to really reflect on things. Are there like one or two things that you might, if you're a brand out there looking to figure out how to come up with some answers, what one or two things might you focus on first or second?
I would take a deep breath, and the first thing I would do is would to revisit the values of the company
Hmm.
and make sure they are mirroring what's going on in society. I think a lot of companies, especially legacy brands, they they think they're honoring their founders by keeping values around that are 50 years old.
Hmm.
You want to really honor the founders, have a relevant company.
Sure.
And so this is the time, as the world is changing in real time right before our eyes, to maybe look within and really understand, are you in the escapism business? Are you in the utility business? I'm even with my two partners at Courageous, a third of our business now is we're business therapists.
Sure.
We are, it's a third leadership, it's a third creative business. And right now in this very tricky time, we're setting up one-on-one Zoom chats where it's just listening to our clients and trying to provide guidance and value through all this crazy. And so we accept that if that's our version of serving and taking the expertise that we have and providing some version of knowledge back to help them prep for when we all come out of this, it's having clarity that that's the business that we're in.
Yeah. That's really good. Especially right now, I'm sure it's really appreciated to be there to shoulder to lean on and get it, perspective from. That's great insights, man. I think today is a good time to, or right now anyway, is a good time to sit back and reflect and try and make really good decisions and be confident in the direction that you go, and reflect on how your company is, you know, operating and decisions you're making. It's really good.
Thanks, man.
That's it for me, really. I just wanted to try and find out, exactly what you would be working on. Is there any stories of companies out there that are pivoting a little bit or doing anything unique that you'd want to share, or any ideas that you have for companies out there that might be pretty concerned right now before we jump off this?
I haven't seen, I think it's still too early to tell on the pivots, right? I like what Zoom's doing. They gave their platform up for free for kindergarten through 12th grade for teachers. Thought that was wise.
Mm-hmm.
Guinness is another example. They kind of lost a big day in St. Patrick's Day. We all
Yep.
sort of forgot that happened, but
Yep.
they have their Guinness Give Back Fund. I think they put $500,000 in there to help communities where Guinness is cope with everything that's going on. Everybody, I think it's just trying to find the right note where you can serve. Again, go
Yeah.
back to being a utilitarian brand as you're working through your what's next. And I don't see how technology isn't a part of that what's next. So yeah, as a guy that's a keynote speaker, I've lost 8 to 10 different engagements at this particular moment. And are you kidding me? Like, in the grand scheme of things, I'm grateful that I have the consulting practice and I can help, hopefully companies guide through this new normal.
Yeah.
Um, but the pivots, I think we're still in it.
Yeah, I hear you. I agree with you. But we're not talking about companies that aren't doing anything either. So, we're talking about the companies that are doing anything, doing something to help, or doing, being there. So,
Yeah.
making moves. We're talking
I'll
about
tell
these
you this,
companies.
Bobby. The other thing I would really focus on, I don't see how there's not going to be this hyper local. I think it's like hyper local and hyper
Mm,
global.
mm,
Like, the world is definitely a lot smaller because of tech,
yeah.
but I also think coming out of this, these almost like, imagine your little city as a borough,
Mm,
and what can you do in your hometown? I don't see how local doesn't play massive when we come out of this. Grassroots is going to matter.
yeah.
Love thy neighbor is going to matter. And so, how are you really serving your community? So, at the small, what a surprise, the middle class is getting killed again. But at the hyper small, hyper micro, and hyper macro, I think are going to be the two wins.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. There's a lot of, in our industry anyway, there's a lot of talk about the anti-Amazon, the smaller being the better, the more passionate, the better built, so this could be a catalyst that really pushes that into a bigger part of consumer goods in general.
Well, look at even now. I mean, look at the restaurants you're choosing to order from.
Right.
Right. I mean, again, we're kind of back full circle on the Domino's, but it's like, who is serving the grassroots community? Because you're going to want to help local first.
For sure. Yeah, for sure. All right, good. Where can people find you, Ryan Berman?
You can find me at returnoncourage.com or ryanberman.com. I will say we are definitely, my company's called Courageous, which is couragebrands.com. I know that's a lot of places. But we are going to be launching sort of a biz therapy Thursday where we're giving up 15-minute slots for free just to help people navigate this. It doesn't matter if you're a one-person shop, a 100-person company. Bobby, when we're live, I'll let you know, and maybe you can help me push it.
Yeah, that sounds good. Go check his website out too. They just redid it not too long ago. It's very different, totally unique. I really do enjoy it. And I'll link you out on LinkedIn as well so people can find all that stuff on your page. All right, Ryan, thanks for the time, my friend. We will talk to you very soon.
Hang in there.
Yep. Bye-bye.